Good afternoon to all. Today we will see the assignment of non-overlapped block transfer without string instructions and with string instructions. Now basically in this assignment we are transferring the contents of the source block to destination block. Now what is source block? Source block means it is nothing but the group of memory locations. So contents from one group of memory locations, we are transferring it to another group of memory locations. For example, consider the memory locations starting from 2000 to 2000. Suppose there are the four memory locations, that is 2000, 2001, 2002 and 2003. These are the four addresses of the source memory block, and suppose we have to transfer these contents from source memory block, we have to transfer these contents to the destination memory block. Suppose the destination memory blocks is starting from the location 3000, 3001, 3002 and 3003. That means you are transferring the 4 bytes or word or double word or quad word from the source block to the destination block, where the source address and there is no matching of the source address and the destination address. Not a single address in the destination block and the source block is matching. Then that transfer we call it as a non-overlapped block transfer. So in this case your source block is starting from 2000 and it goes up to 2003. The four bytes of data, it can be word, it can be double word, it can be quad word, or it can be quad word. So that particular data we have to transfer it to some another memory location which is not matching with the source memory locations. That type of transfer we call it as a non-overlapped block transfer. Now see, in the case of overlapped block transfer, suppose for example your source memory location is starting from 2000 and ending at 2003, and suppose your destination memory location is starting at 2002. So it goes from 2002, 2003, 2004 and 2005. That means the two addresses of source and the destination is matching with each other. That particular transfer we call it as a overlapped block transfer. So first we will see the program of non-overlapped block transfer with the two methods. First is without string instruction and another is with string instruction. So we have the source array or we have the source block. For that we require the one pointer that is called as a source pointer, and for destination block we require another pointer that is called as a destination pointer. So we need the two pointers to handle this particular transfer from source to the destination. Now see, in this case in non-overlapped we will see the algorithm of this. First you have to declare this source array in section.data. So under section.data we write it as source underscore array db 10h, 20h, 30h, 40h. So this is the source array of bytes, or you can declare the source array of word, double word or quad words. Whenever you are using word, you have to declare it as with the assembler directive dw. If it is a double word, it is dd, and if it is a quad word, it is dq. So we can transfer any data type from source to the destination. So we have to point first we require two pointers. So we point RSI to the source array and point RDI to the destination array. Now we have to transfer suppose 4 bytes. So we have to take the counter for number to be transferred from source to destination. That means I have to transfer 4 bytes from source to destination. So I will take this counter as I will load the count value 4 in the counter register. Now I will transfer the data from source to the destination one by one. So what I will do, I will take the contents of the first location of source and I will transfer it to the destination contents, but I cannot directly transfer it from source to destination because memory to memory direct transfer is not allowed. So I will first take the first contents of source and it will be transferred to the register. Then from that register the contents will be transferred to the destination block first location. Then what I have to do, I have to increment the pointers. That means first contents have been transferred from source to destination. So now I have to transfer the second content. So I will increment the pointers so that it will point to the next element of the source block and next element of the destination block. Now see, in this case, suppose we have declared the array of bytes, then we have to increment the pointers by 1. But if we have declared the array as a word array, then in that case I have to increment the pointers by 2, because to point to the second element of the source array I have to go further by the 2 locations so that I can point to the next element of the source array. So for the word, if it is the array of words, I have to increment the pointers by 2. If it is the array of double word, I have to increment the pointer by 4. And if it is a quad word, I have to increment the pointer by 8. So in this case, first I will read the contents of the first location. I will transfer it to some register, and from register I will transfer it to the destination location. And after every transfer I will increment the source pointer and the destination pointer depending on what kind of array we have taken, whether it is a byte array, whether it is a word array, whether it is double word array, or whether it is quad word array. Now every time I will decrement the counter by 1. Every time I will decrement the counter by 1. And if it is not 0, if the counter is not 0, again I will go to the loop where the contents will be read from the source block and it will be transferred to the destination block. That means in this case we have not used any string instructions to transfer the source contents to the destination destination block. Now we will see the program for this. Just a minute, I will share the screen. Now see, in this case, in this particular program, we have to declare the source block. See, under section.data, we have declared the message 1 source block. So we are displaying the source block contents also initially. So this particular message we have to display source block, and it will display the contents of the source array. So for this message we are declaring the message 1 length EQU $- message 1. We know that for every message we have to declare its length. And this is message 2 where we are declaring the string that destination block contains after transfer, and message 2 length EQU $- message 2. Now see, here we have declared the source block. How the source block is declared? SRCBLK source block. The name is given to this array db. It is an array of bytes db. So it is 10h, 20h, 30h, 40h, 50h. Suppose it is an array of word, then we have to declare it as dw, and the contents will be like 1 2 3 4h, 5 6 7 8h, 3 4 5 6h, like that. We can declare any type of array, that is byte array, word array, double word array, or quad word array. Then here we have declared the count EQU 05. Since we have to transfer the 5 number of elements, we have taken the count as 5. So 5 is the constant value and it is assigned to the variable count. Then section.bss, we have declared the answer. This is again an array, reserve byte 4. This is the array which is declared for the display purpose, which is used for the displaying purpose. It is a ASCII array. So we will see why we have used this ANS, that is answer, this particular array. Then we have declared the destination block DSTBLK, reserve bytes. How many bytes I have to reserve for destination? 5. That means initially your source block contains 10h, 20h, 30h, 40h and 50h, and your destination block contains some garbage value. We have reserved the 5 bytes for that destination block. Now see, first we have to display the source block. So now first we will display the message. We will call the macro. So print is a macro. So this print macro is written over here. You can write this macro before section.data, or you can write it after section.bss also. So macro we have called message1 comma message1 length. So it is the source block, and we have to display the contents of the source block. So since we have to display the contents of source block, we must require a pointer. So we have written here move RSI comma source block. That means we have used a pointer to point to the starting address of the source block. Now we have to display each element of the source block. That means we have to take the first element of the source block and we have to display it on the screen. Then we have to take the second element, we have to display it on the screen. That means one by one we will take the element and we will display it on the screen. So that is written in this particular procedure or subroutine, that is disp underscore block. So disp underscore block is a procedure name or function name, we can say, which is called using the instruction call. So see what is written in disp underscore block, call disp underscore block. So see in this disp underscore block, this is the this is the procedure or function which is written after the exit system call. So after exit system call, we have written this disp underscore block colon. Now in this case we have to display these 5 element. So count value we have loaded into some register, say RBP. So 5 is loaded into this particular register, that is RBP register, which is a 64-bit register. Since it is a constant value, we can load it in any register, 8-bit register, 16-bit register, 32-bit register or 64-bit register. Now we have to take each element and we have to display it on the screen. So move AL comma into bracket RSI. So we have taken the first element of the source block, that is put in AL, and we have to display this AL on the screen. So that means we have to call the display procedure for the single element or single number. That's why we have called here call disp underscore 8. So this is the procedure which is written after this procedure, which will display each element of the array. So for displaying each element of the array, we are using this particular procedure. So see, under call disp underscore 8, what we have done, we have used a pointer to point to this ANS array. So what is ANS array? In this array we are converting each digit which we want to print into its ASCII. So it is the ASCII array. That means suppose I have to print 10H on the screen, I have to convert 1 into its ASCII, that is 31H. I have to convert 0 into its ASCII, that is 30H, and this 31H and 30H we have to store in the ASCII array. Here that ASCII array is declared as ANS. So here what we have done, whatever the normal display procedure program which we have already discussed in the previous videos, this particular program is written which will display 10H on the screen. So first number will get displayed on the screen. Now see, in this particular procedure we are using RSI to point to ANS, and here also we have used the RSI to point to the source block. So here we have used the instruction push RSI. Push RSI, what this instruction will do, this will push the contents of RSI, this will push the RSI value on the stack, so that whenever we call disp_8 again, we are using again the same register. So since we have used the same register, whenever we return from this particular procedure back to the previous procedure, in this case your RSI will not get disturbed. RSI will not get disturbed because we are popping this RSI after displaying this. So whatever the contents of whatever RSI is there, whatever the value of RSI is there, this remains intact. Otherwise what happens, if we don't write push RSI, your RSI contents will vary by this disp_8, and whenever you return again over here, you will not get the second contents of the your source array. Your RSI will get disturbed. So to avoid this, we are using this instruction push RSI. So push instruction is used to store the data temporarily on the stack, and pop instruction is used to retrieve the data whatever is stored on the stack back. Right. So since we are displaying each element separately in this disp_8 array, and we are using RSI register, same RSI register we have used in this procedure also and in this procedure also. That's why we have pushed it on the stack. So we have displayed the first element, that is 10H, with the help of this procedure. Already this procedure we have discussed initially. 10H will get displayed. It will return over here. So it will return to the instruction which is next to call. Then print space comma 1. So space we have declared initially in section.data. So space after 10 you will get a space. Then pop RSI. So contents of RSI will get retrieved. So and INC RSI. That means suppose first the initially your source array starts at the address 2000H. Then while call disp_8, this 2000H will be stored on the stack, and whenever it returns over here, it will pop RSI. So whatever 2000H which is stored on the stack, that is retrieved, and INC RSI, it will increment 2000 by 1, so it will become 2001. DEC RBP, so counter will be decremented by 1, so 5 becomes 4. It is not 0, it will go back, it will take the next element will be printed by call disp_8. Again space will be there, so 20 will be printed, right, and then the pointer will be incremented by 1, so it will become 2002, and the next element will get printed. That means this particular procedure is used to print your source array. It will print your source array. right? I hope everybody has understood this part. So whenever you return from this particular procedure disp underscore block, where you will return to the instruction next to call. That means you will return to the instruction move RSI comma source block. Now your RSI has been incremented. Now what I have to do, I have to transfer the contents of source block to the destination block. So again I have to bring back this RSI, which is used to point to the starting address of the source block. So that's why the instruction return is move RSI comma source block, move RDI comma destination block. So we have used the two pointers to point to the source block and destination block. Again we have used here the counter move RCX comma 5. Now I have to take the first element of the array. Now this particular element is a byte, so I will write the instruction move AL comma into bracket RSI. If this particular is a word array, then we have to write the instruction like move AX comma into bracket RSI. If it is a double word, then we have to write the instruction move EAX comma into bracket RSI. And if it is a quad word, then move RAX comma into bracket RSI. Then move into bracket RDI comma AL. Because of this, what happens, see, whenever we write the instruction move AL comma into bracket RSI, it will read the contents of the memory pointed by RSI, and that contents will be put in AL. That means first element of your source array is 10H, so that will be available in AL. And whenever you write the instruction move into bracket RDI comma AL, this 10H will go into the location pointed by RDI. That means it will go to the destination block starting address. Then we have written the instruction INC RDI, INC RSI and INC RDI. So we have incremented the pointers so that it will point to the next location of the source block and next location of the destination block. That means first element has been transferred. Now we have to transfer the next element. So counter will be decremented, and if it is not 0, again we have to repeat the same thing. That's why here it is written loop S1. So loop is nothing but it will decrement the counter by 1, and if the counter is not 0, it will return back to S1. So loop is a replacement of two instructions DEC RCX and JNZ S1. Right, so this will transfer the contents of source block to destination block. That means now your destination block contains the elements of the source block. Now we can display the destination block just by calling call disp underscore block. So whenever you call disp underscore block, what it will display, we have used move RSI comma destination block. So where your RSI is pointing to the starting address of the destination block. So whenever you write call disp underscore block, it will print the destination block by calling disp underscore block. So one by one the destination block elements will get printed on the screen, and once it gets printed on the screen, it will return back. So it will return to move RAX comma 60, move RDI comma 0 syscall. So we have to write the exit system call to exit from the program. I hope everybody has understood this particular part. So in this case, we have taken the element from the source block one by one, and we have transferred it to the destination block. So this particular program is for non-overlapped block transfer without string instructions. Now see this particular program, just a minute. Can be written with string instructions also. So we have to make some changes. All other things will remain the same. Only thing is that all other things will remain the same. Only thing is that we have to use the same thing we are using. That means here we are displaying the source block. We are displaying the source block by call disp underscore block. Then we have used the same thing as we have written for the previous program, that is move RSI comma source block, move RDI comma destination block, move RCX comma 05. Here we have written the instruction CLD, that is clear direction flag. Whenever we are using the string instructions, we are making use of this direction flag. So direction flag, when direction flag is 0, then your RSI and RDI will be auto incremented, and if direction flag is 1, RSI and RDI will be auto decremented after every transfer. Here what we have to do, we have to transfer the contents of source to destination, and we have to increment RSI and RDI. In the previous case, we have written, in the previous program, we have written the instruction INC RSI and INC RDI in the program. But whenever the direction flag is clear, after every transfer, the RSI and RDI will be auto incremented by 1 if it is a byte. If it is a word, RSI and RDI will be incremented by 2, and if it is a double word, it is incremented by 4, and if it is a quad word, it is incremented by 8 automatically. You don't have to write the instruction INC RSI or INC RDI in this case. And we have to write here the instruction move SB. Move SB is a string instruction, so it will move the string byte from source block to destination block directly. So we don't have to write the instruction like move AL comma into bracket RSI, move into bracket RDI comma AL over here. Just you have to write the instruction move SB, and you have to write this prefix REP, repeat. It is a repeat prefix. So what happens, this particular instruction will transfer the contents of source block into destination block till the counter will become 0. That means after every transfer, the pointers will be incremented and counter will be decremented by 1, and this particular will go on until the count value will become 0. That means you don't have to write the instructions move AL comma into bracket RSI, move into bracket RDI comma AL, INC RSI, INC RDI, DC RCX, JNZ to the loop. This we don't have to write all these things, just we have to clear the direction flag and just write repeat move SB. If you are moving a byte, you have to write the instruction move SB. If you are moving a word, you have to write the instruction move SW. And if you are moving double word, you have to write the instruction move SD. And if you are moving a quad word, you have to write the instruction move SQ with a repeat prefix. So automatically, depending on which instruction you are writing, your pointers will be incremented either by 1, 2, 4 or 8. So once you write this, your source block contents will get transferred into destination block. So the 5 to 6 lines of code get saved over here. And after transferring the contents to destination block, you have to do the same thing. You have to use a pointer to the destination block and print that destination block on the screen by using the disp underscore block procedure. So we are writing the procedure disp underscore block, and we are calling this particular procedure from here. So call disp underscore block. It will call this procedure, it will print the destination block, and it will return from there. So whenever it returns, it will return to move rax comma 60, move rdi comma 0, syscall, that is the exit system call. So it will exit from the main code. So these are the two programs which is the non-overlapped block transfer. First program is without string instruction and second program is with string instructions. Now these two programs we have written separately, but suppose you have to suppose in the problem statement is like you have to display the menu. In the menu you write the first as without string instruction, second as with string instruction, third is exit, and you have to enter the choice. Suppose if you enter the choice as 1, the program execution should be non-overlapped block transfer without string instruction. If the user enters the choice as 2, the execution is of with string instructions, and if user enters the choice as 3, then the program should exit. And if the user enters any choice other than 1, 2 or 3, then there should be a message that wrong choice, and again the menu should be displayed. Suppose this is the problem statement, then in that case you have to first display the menu and you have to accept the choice from the user. So just a minute, I will share the screen. So see, in this case we have to declare the message, say suppose message 1 db, we are declaring this menu. Then under this db again we have to write db non-overlapped block transfer without string instruction. This is your first option. Then second option is non-overlapped block transfer with string instruction. Third is exit, and here itself we declare the message that enter choice. Then for this message 1, we have to declare its length, message 1 underscore len EQU $ message 1. So for every message we know that we have to declare its length. And message 2 is wrong choice. Message 2 length is $ message 2. Now in this case we are accepting the choice from the user. So we have to declare one array whose name is choice. You can give any name. Choice reserve bytes 2. That means whenever you write the string on the screen, enter choice, the user will enter the choice either 1, 2, 3 or anything, and the user will press the enter button. That means whatever the choice the user has entered, this particular choice, suppose user has entered the choice as 1 from the keyboard, this one is stored inside as 31H as its ASCII value. Whenever you enter anything from the keyboard, it is stored on the screen as a ASCII value, and after this you are pressing the enter button. So whatever the ASCII value of enter, this should also be stored. So for that purpose we have declared the array name whose name is choice. And how many bytes we have reserved? We have reserved 2 bytes. One is for storing the ASCII value of whatever the choice we have entered, and one is for the ASCII value of the enter. We have declared the 2 macros. One macro, percent macro, disp name of the macro, number of variables which are passed are 2. Move rax comma 1, move rdi comma 1. We know we have to use a write system call. Move rsi comma %1, move rdx comma %2, syscall %end macro. So we are using this macro for displaying various messages, and we have to declare the one more macro for accept, and we are using a read system call in this particular macro. So move rax comma 0, move rdi comma 0, move rsi comma %1, move rdx comma %2, syscall and percent end macro. So here also we are accepting the choice from the users. So in the subsequently we will see how we are accepting the choice from the user. So see, section.text global underscore start colon. Here we have written first disk message 1 comma message 1 underscore length. So firstly the menu gets displayed on the screen. Now we after menu, the enter choice is also the one of the string that is displayed on the screen, enter choice. Now we have to accept the choice from the user. So we are calling the macro accept choice comma 2. So choice, this choice will go in place of %1 and 2 will go in place of %2. So whatever the value or whatever the number that is entered from the user, its ASCII value gets stored in the choice array. So if 1 is entered by the user, then 31H gets stored in the choice array as the first byte, and the ASCII value of enter will get stored as the second byte. Now suppose the user has entered the choice as 1, then there should be the execution of the code for the without string instruction program. And if the user has entered the choice as 2, it is the execution of the with string instruction program. So we have written the two different procedures, procedure 1 and procedure 2. Procedure 1 is for without string instruction and procedure 2 is for with string instruction. So whatever the code we have discussed previously, that code we have to write it as a procedure 1 and procedure 2. So we are comparing. See, we have written here the instruction compare CMP byte into bracket choice comma 31H. That means here suppose the user has entered the choice as 1, it is stored in this choice array as 31H as a first byte. So we are comparing this the first byte of the choice, whether it is 31H or not. If it is not 31H, that means user has not entered the choice as 1, right? If it is not 31H, then directly the program control goes to case 2. But if it is 31H, that means user has entered the choice as 1, then the procedure 1 should be executed. And this particular procedure is the non-overlapped block transfer without string instruction, that we have to write it below. Whatever the program we have studied previously, this particular program we have to write it as procedure 1. After calling procedure 1, once all the code we have written it in procedure 1, we are jumping to exit. So that will go to exit and that will execute the exit system call. But suppose the user has not entered the choice as 31H, then this condition fails, that is it is not equal to 31H. So it will go to case 2. In case 2, it will compare with 32H. That means whether the user has entered the choice as 2. If the user has not entered the choice as 2, then it will go to case 3, that is jump if not equal case 3. But suppose the user has entered the choice as 2, then the user has to execute procedure 2. So in between this line I have missed to write, that is if it is jump if not equal case 3, after that there should be a line call procedure 2, call proc 2. And what is proc 2? Proc 2 is the procedure to write the code for non-overlapped block transfer with string instruction. So we will call procedure 2 if it matches with, if the choice is matching with 32H, because whenever you enter the choice, it is stored in the array as its ASCII value. Now if it is not equal to 32H, that means user has not entered the choice as 32H, then it will go to case 3. It will compare it with 33H, that means user has not entered 1, user has not entered 2. Now user we have to check whether user has entered 3. So if the user has entered 3, it is stored inside as 33h. So we are comparing it with 33h. If it is equal to 33h, then it is the third option, that is exit. So jump if equal exit, so it will directly go to exit and it will exit from the program. But suppose user has not entered the choice as 3, that means user has not entered 1, 2 and 3, user has entered some other choice, so it will display the message that wrong choice. So for that purpose, here it is disp message to comma message to underscore length. So it will display the message that wrong choice and jump to menu. It will again go up, it will display the menu, it will accept the choice and it will again do the same thing. That means if the choice is 1, it will call procedure 2. If the choice procedure 1, if the choice is 2, it will call procedure 2, and if the choice is 3, it will exit from the program. And if user has not entered any of the choice 1, 2 or 3, then it will display the message as wrong choice and it will again display the menu. So after this, after exit system call, we will write the code for procedure 1, which is the code for non-overlapped block transfer without string instructions, and procedure 2 is non-overlapped block transfer with string instructions, and we at the end of every procedure we write return. So this is a combined program, we can say. If we have to write only one program and we have to accept the choice from the user and execute that particular code, then we will write the code like this. I hope everybody has understood this particular part.